How many times have you caught yourself getting way more triggered about something than you really have to? Your partner didn't do the dishes, your boss cuts you off midway while you're speaking, or your parent gives you advice that you didn't even ask for. I had one of these moments last week. I needed help for something, and I went to my partner to ask for it. But before I even asked, I felt my heart beating a little bit faster. And then I asked, and I just happened to catch him at the wrong time. He was doing something that was time sensitive, and I happened to ask in that moment, and he went, ugh. And then, get this, he still chose to help me. But all I could see was that moment of irritation, that moment that he went, ah. And after everything was done, I felt all the bodily sensations. My face was red, my heart was sinking, and I had to excuse myself, go into the bathroom, and I started crying. This, my friends, is an example of an ego story. Contrary to popular belief, our ego is neither bad or good. It's just there. It is. And it develops while we are young kids. As kids, our primary needs are being seen, heard, and loved. And no matter how amazing our parents may be, they literally cannot always meet all these needs all the time. But as kids, we don't really have the ability to see, okay, my dad just ignored me because he's busy, or my mom just scolded me because she's really stressed out. We see everything that happens to us as something that we deserve. Everything that happens to us is because of us. And so our ego forms these stories that follow us all the way till we're adults. And if we don't keep track of them or get aware of them, they follow us until we probably die. So after almost 27 years, last week, I finally realized that it wasn't just my partner going, that upset me. It was my ego story getting activated. My mom's a single mom, and getting attention all the time is a little bit tough. So from the time I was a child, I developed the narrative that I am a burden. And so every time my partner shows me even the slightest bit of discomfort to help me, I see that as a reminder that I am a burden. And it doesn't matter if my partner's helped me 2,000 times happily and super enthusiastically. My ego only looks at the few times that he's been either busy or just reluctantly helping. And the reason is that our ego works in a way that it keeps us in familiar settings, even if they're painful. So no matter how painful it is for me to realize that my partner doesn't want to help me, I'm still going to see that narrative rather than objectively taking a step back, because all of this is happening so subconsciously. And maybe these narratives helped us as we were kids, but a lot of times they no longer help us, but they're still stuck in our bodies, right? And it's so important that we're aware of all the ego narratives that we have, slowly observe them, and find ways to manage them so that they don't affect our lives and hopefully don't get passed on to our kids as well. The good news is, once you do realize it, it's so much easier to be able to catch it. I had a chat with my partner, letting him know that I found out I have this narrative. So to please be careful around this subject, and to also catch me whenever you realize that I might be overthinking something. So honestly, it only brings benefits for yourself and for the relationships that are close to you if you realize your own ego narratives and you choose to work on them. So the two ways for you to figure out your ego narratives is to, one, notice all the times that you get triggered. Is there a pattern between these things? What are the things that trigger you the most? Could it be someone talking about your weight or your look, or someone talking about you not being good enough? Just find these moments that you get triggered and ask yourself why. See if there's a pattern and see if it can be linked back to something that happened in your childhood. Is it serving you? Is having this belief helping you in any way? And if it's not, then you know it's time to work on it. And the second way is to notice the moments you judge other people. A lot of times we project our own narratives onto other people. Do you get really triggered when someone's very loud? Maybe that's a sign you want to be heard more, or you don't think you have a voice? Do you get triggered when you see a girl in a bikini? Could that be because you don't like the fact that she has a freedom you don't have? There's a lot more to your judgment about someone else that pertains to yourself than it does to the person that you're judging. And finally, I want you to know that you are not your ego. So please do this work with a lot of compassion. It's not something that you kind of brought upon yourself. It's just based on your experiences and realities. So treat your ego and yourself with a lot of compassion and love. And don't forget that if you're working on your ego narratives, you are that person. You're the person working on improving yourself. You are not your ego. Bye-bye. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe.